Okay, detailed analysis of a very, very competitive and long 49ers practice that featured 4 Brock Purdy interceptions, and it also featured 2 bomb Brock Purdy touchdown passes. Really a Jekyll and Hyde practice because it started with the 2 bombs for Brock Purdy, and then it finished with the 49ers secondary flexing its muscles. First thing that I have to say is that the secondary that we talked about this offseason on paper, the deepest secondary of the Shanahan-Lynch era, that's shown up out there on that field. They have 15 interceptions through the first week of camp. Not all against Brock Purdy. That's against all 3 of the 49ers quarterbacks that have played so far. And today we saw a little bit of Tanner Mordecai, just a couple throws attempted though. He's actually the only 49ers quarterback to have yet to throw a pick in practice. But this secondary, these guys seem to be the real deal. And Demo Lenoir was talking about that after practice. He is sure that this is the best group that the 49ers have had as long as he's been here, and that's been since 2021. So we'll get into all of that. I also want to talk about the one-on-ones, which debuted today. Those are always a very, very fun portion of training camp. That might be the most watchable portion of training camp because it's hard to see, especially if you don't have a truly elevated vantage point, and you don't because they're not practicing in the stadium. The bleachers only go up a few rows, but unless you have a really elevated vantage point, it's really hard to see everything develop the way that you need to see it to analyze strategy in the game of football. But for one-on-ones, you're not analyzing 11-on-11 strategy. You're just watching 2 guys go against each other. And there's a whole heck of a lot of competitiveness and emotion in that part of practice as well. And, you know, that's where I should start after I go through the participation list. No Ayuk, no Trent Williams, no Isaac Guerendo, no John Feliciano, knee injury. Guerendo obviously has got the hamstring. Spencer Burford, we will find out soon whether or not he's going to undergo surgery for the broken hand. Jacob Cowing and Tay Martin both have hamstring injuries. And one guy that did not get in on the DB party today was Renardo Green. Had a nice pass breakup against Jawan Jennings the day prior, but Renardo was not a participant for the 49ers today. We have no word yet on his status, why he missed practice. It's too bad because one of the stars in one-on-ones today for the 49ers in the receiver cornerback portion was Jawan Jennings. So we didn't get to see a dogfight in one-on-ones because I reserved dogfight for the Renardo Green Jawan Jennings matchup. That one's really good. We've already seen it a couple times this camp. Unfortunately not today, but Jennings won his share of battles and he let out a big roar after winning on a quick out pattern today at 49ers training camp in one-on-ones. He was good on that part of the field, but Tariq Owens is the player who just flipped the switch today. Yes, T.O.'s son. He had been having some drop issues over the first couple of days of training camp, and today, well, he did actually struggle to hold on to his first pass in one-on-ones, but that's when the switch flipped for Tariq Owens. Caught a bomb for a touchdown over Ambry Thomas in one-on-ones, and then Tariq, during team drills, caught another bomb, this one from Brandon Allen, and this was over Rock Yassin, who is a veteran defensive back. The 49ers signed him this offseason. Taylor Hawkins, the safety, tried to come over and help. That help did not come in time. And Tariq Owens looked a whole lot like his dad as he strode into the end zone. The way they do one-on-ones is they have 3 separate stations. The receivers go against the cornerbacks at the station that I was watching. Then offensive and defensive linemen square off on another station that's on the opposite field. And then on the other end of that opposite field, you've got tight ends and running backs working against linebackers and safeties. So on the offensive line portion of the field, I wasn't there today, so I'm going to put that disclaimer out there. But I can say that all the reports that I saw was that Dominic Puni fared very, very well for himself on that side of the field. First against Jordan Elliott, that was maybe a little bit more of a draw, but then he had clear wins against T.Y. McGill and Evan Anderson, who's the undrafted free agent for the 49ers out of Florida Atlantic. Now, Puni is still taking those first-team reps at left guard. And I've been saying this now for all of training camp, and I think this goes back to studying Dominic Puni coming out of college at Kansas. He carries himself like a professional. He made that jump from Central Missouri to Kansas a couple years ago seamlessly, didn't give up a single sack. at Kansas over his 2 seasons there starting. He's played multiple positions. The 49ers think he has ultimate 5-position versatility for them. He's handling this jump in competition really, really impressively. So Dominic Pooney has looked good out there for the 49ers. Today he looked good in one-on-ones. We saw Javon Hargrave beat Aaron Banks. That's the second straight day that Hargrave has beaten Banks. We had a win yesterday that led to a Brock Purdy interception. George Odom was able to get him in the red zone after that pressure. And we had 1 rep from Nick Bosa. He beat Colton McKivitz. I don't think that surprises anyone. On the linebacker, safety, tight end, running back side of the field, supposedly D. Winters manned up Christian McCaffrey on one of his reps. That's very, very promising for Winters, because normally the receivers win these reps. There's no safety help here, right? So if Winters was able to stay with McCaffrey, that is an arrow up for him on that side of the field. All right, so then, you know, the 49ers moved into the open practice part of this, the scrimmage portion of this, and that's when Brock Purdy started out hot. 7 of his first 7. The deep ball off the pump fake to Deebo Samuel. That froze Isaac Yiadom, the new 49ers cornerback. Purdy was crisp. He was accurate downfield. I think we had been waiting for one of those deep passes to hit. The first few practices of camp are typically a work in progress as far as timing goes for the offense, and it looked like the offense had found all of its timing, and it was just in rhythm. Brock Purdy was dominant early on, and the reason I say dominant is because the deep touchdown to Christian McCaffrey, I think the 49ers have already posted that one, so you could go ahead and check that one out on social media. But the deep touchdown to Christian McCaffrey was on an off-schedule play. Like the pressure had converged on Purdy. He had to roll to his left, and then he had to flip his hips, and he had to loft that ball over Devondre Campbell, and he hit Christian McCaffrey in stride. It was a play that the quarterback made. By the way, Brock Purdy, as voted on by his peers, the number 28th player, the 28th ranked player in the NFL's top 100. So the respect is growing for Brock Purdy. He was dominant to begin this practice. Then they went to special teams, and then they came out of special teams, and the move the ball period started. And around that time is when the switch flipped for the defense. Fred Warner was preying on one of those little hook routes over the middle of the field, a shorter route to Chris Conley. He jumped in front of it, and he dropped what could have been an interception. And that's when it really started going well for the defense, and it started going much more poorly for the offense. Interceptions today off of Purdy was Jair Brown. Might have been a sack on the play. You know, you can't touch the quarterback, so quarterbacks are also told to just throw in those situations. It's practice, so you want to see where your limits are. So Purdy, pocket converging on him, forced to pass downfield. He did throw as he was told to throw, and Jair Brown picked it off. Demetrius Flanagan-Foles. This one was an underneath throw for Brock Purdy, a shorter pass. It seemed like he just didn't see Demetrius Flanagan-Foles. So that's something that he's going to have to fix. Then there was the Deommodore Lenoir pick 6. Funny story, Deommodore Lenoir actually promised 49ers special teams coordinator Brian Schneider before last season that he would deliver a pick 6. He didn't deliver a pick 6. He intercepted 3 passes over the course of last season, had a good year. He talked about the fact that the Philadelphia game where he just decleated DeAndre Swift was where he gained full confidence. But Lenoir, who had the pick 6 today off of Purdy, used it as a segue to talk about his promise to Brian Schneider, and he said, the promise is still on the table. I didn't get it done last year, but I think I could get that pick 6 done in a game this season. He obviously got one done in practice today. The interception that definitely, wasn't Purdy's fault was a deep ball that he threw to Jawan Jennings near the sideline, about 40 yards downfield, and it looked to be really well placed. Jennings rose up to try to high point the football, and I thought that he brought down the catch, but it just slipped through Jennings' hands and into George Odom's hands. And then it was unclear, I mentioned this on the instant reaction, it was unclear whether or not George Odom got his feet in bounds, but the officials said that he did indeed get his feet in bounds. And that was the secondary flexing its muscles for the 49ers. So Odom is a backup safety. He's in there right now alongside Jair Brown before Talanoa Hufanga comes back. Malik Mustafa is also looking good. We've talked a lot about him. He's a rookie. He's on the second team. They're happy with the safety depth. It doesn't look like they're going to need to bring anybody else in. They're obviously happy with the corner depth We highlighted Renardo Green yesterday, but Charvarius Ward's an all-pro. Demo Lenoir. Lenoir almost had a second pick of Purdy when Purdy, off schedule, had Juszczyk open seemingly 25 yards downfield, tried to get the throw to him down the left sideline. Lenoir sniffed it out and converged hard and was able to hit Kyle Juszczyk as the ball came. Wasn't quite able to pick it off, but it was close. So you got Lenoir playing really high football, inside-outside adaptability for him. I mean, Isaac Yadam today, I thought that he was the one guy that didn't make a play in the secondary. I talked about him getting victimized on the Deebo Samuel deep ball. So it's one of those things where he's already earned himself a spot, at least right now, in the first team when they're running nickel, because Lenoir slides inside to that nickelback spot and the Adams on the outside. So top to bottom, this secondary is extremely deep for the 49ers, and it could be something that helps them turn around from being the number 10 defense last year. They obviously need to stop the run. That was the weakness of this defense in the 2023 season. They slipped all the way down to number 26 against the run. They're better against the pass, but if you do stop the run, it will make you better against the pass because it will set up your pass rush. And I think that you could also talk about a top-down 49ers defense as far as coverage fueling the rush this year with how deep and how good this defensive backfield is. And we definitely got a little bit of a preview of that at practice today. I mentioned Tanner Mordecai a little bit earlier on. He had a couple throws. It was a really long team drill period. That's how the 49ers do it. They have a block of 3 practices. So they warm up on the first day. That was yesterday, Monday. The second day is when they really get after it. And tomorrow they're going to have to back off a little bit because, you got to make sure you take care of your bodies and you don't set yourself up for injuries. They'll back off of it tomorrow before the day off on Thursday. So this was the heavy load day. They had to find a quarterback to fill in some extra team reps after everybody else got their allotted portion. So they went to the rookie Tanner Mordecai. And he threw slightly high, but it was a decent pass. It wasn't a terrible pass over the middle to Ricky Pearsall, who was participating in his team drills for the first time this training camp. A rookie out of Florida, the 49ers first-round pick. Pearsall climbed the ladder. Looked like he was going to catch it, but he was unable to hang on. Earlier in practice, Ricky Pearsall had caught a really nice ball over the middle. Also had to jump up to get it, 20, 25-yard gain. He got lit up by Eric Harris, the safety, but he was able to hold on. So arrow up for Ricky Pearsall in his first practice. Finally, one guy that isn't being talked about enough, but Jake Moody made all of his field goals again today, including a 55-yarder. Moody is 18 of 19 now in training camp. He has been a machine, and he was missing quite a bit last training camp. It was an early point of concern, especially for fans last year, from Jake Moody. So the fact that he has come back and is drilling kicks this training camp is big for the 49ers. They've gotten positives out of their offense, a lot of positives out of their defense, especially down the stretch today. Offense is, I think, showing signs of, being that unit that can be dominant. They obviously don't have Trent Williams and Brandon Ayuk right now, and I think that's affecting them in some ways. But but you saw the early plays from Brock Purdy today. Those are promising things for the 49ers. Whereas the defense, I think their ability to bounce back from the early struggles against those deep passes and deliver down the stretch, register those 5 interceptions, 4 against Purdy, and then 1 with Ambry Thomas to close practice against Josh Dobbs. The fact that the defense was able to flex its muscles in that way, I think that's iron sharpens iron, a good sign of the healthy competition that happened today at 49ers camp, plus the nice little dash of special teams with Jake Moody drilling all his kicks at 18 of 19. I think we could safely say that was the most productive day of 49ers training camp so far. All right. Make sure you check out the instant reaction. We put that up a little bit ago. This is your 49ers analysis. Heading back up to the city. We're going to have 49ers intel and much more tonight. So subscribe to the channel, like the video, do what you need to. Tell me what you liked most about practice in the comments section. We'll talk to you soon.